So we talk about writing a lot, but I've actually never taught you how to make a tart. And seeing as you're quarantined, I thought tonight was the night. This is 2 cups of flour. I use organic King Arthur. This is 16 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Oops, that bit of cilantro, I think. And then, oops, don't need that. So you begin by kneading them all together. Perhaps the camera could come in on this. So you do it with your fingertips. You squish it all throughout. And they always say you want it to look like a meal or like the butter is squished into peas. It actually never looks like that, but you want to break up every single bit. Okay. So we have the butter and the flour. Now we add a little bit of salt. So it's supposed to be 1/4 tablespoon, and in home ec class, I was taught to measure correctly. That's how she said it. She had a weird accent. But you know what? I just do it my way. This is like 1/4 tablespoon. I just know what that is. And then 1/2 cup of chilled water. And you know what I use to stir things? I use a knife. And this is going to be our dough. So I've gathered our dough up and made it into a ball. It's kind of like a snowball. Or you know what it also reminds me of? It reminds me of being in ceramics class in high school, which was always really fun because dough is like clay. Put it in a plastic bag, flatten it with your hand. That will make it easier to roll, which we'll talk about next. But this goes into the refrigerator and chills for about 1/2 hour. So, writers, you may have noticed this clue, the kind of tart we're making. Apple tart. Very simple. You've had it before. It's very easy. You can do this at home. Get about 6 or 7, don't forget to stack up, 6 or 7 apples per tart. Yeah. So we peeled this. We're taking the top and the bottom off. And then there's this incredible item. Okay, this is a 1/4. I know you've all heard me do this. Watch this. This is so cool. And then look how cute that is. The fun thing about baking is it's so much like writing. There's so many different tasks, and you have to do each task as well as you can. Okay? So this is, we're cutting the apple into the tiniest slivers possible and not cutting your finger. There we go. Oh, we need about 7 of these apples. And look, here we have them. These will all be in our apple tart. Oh, okay. I trust you have a rolling pin at home. I have this beautiful marble rolling pin that a special friend gave to me. Anyway, so that big ball of dough actually turns into enough dough for 2 tarts. So you can see that I put this aside and keep that in the refrigerator, and you can make an onion tart tomorrow. So I finished rolling, and I lay it in here. Again, isn't this like, you know, working with clay? So this is what I do. I just loosely drape it into the tart pan, and then giving it ample extra folds, I set it down and use my fingertips to go over the rim. And then, watch. Now, isn't this fun? Isn't this just like class? I just pull it away. Now, this also needs to be chilled briefly in the refrigerator. And this is our dough. This is the chilled crust. There's an extra step. Don't be intimidated by this. If you have tin foil, if you have rice, or if you have beans, dry beans, it works just as well. And this goes in the oven. It's called pre-blind. It goes in the oven for 15 minutes. So we've removed the rice and foil. It baked for 15 minutes. Now we're just finishing up putting the apples And you know what? You just stuff the sliced apples in any which way you can and as tightly as possible because they're going to shrink. Okay. Now this is 4 tablespoons. Don't be alarmed. It's worth it. 4 tablespoons of butter. And you just, you know, spread them as evenly as you can. And I've also, that's an egg, and I whipped it up, and I dabbed the edges, just like this, very, you know, informal, nothing fancy. And then I take 2 tablespoons of sugar, and I spread it around. Again, this is an imprecise art, but as evenly as possible. That's probably 2 tablespoons. And now this confection is ready for the oven. During these strange days, let's keep calm, carry on, and make tarts together.